I mean, nobody's on it. Oh, yes, there are.
Do you feel comfortable with that process of how you create that community? So I can have an answer back into whether you're looking to buy or.
Okay. Hey guys.
Do you have it, Adam? I was gonna put it up on the TV in there, but if you have it on your laptop, then
Yeah, I can just plug away with my laptop here.
okay.
Have it on here. Yep.
All right. Well, I'm admitting people.
Is Murph tuning in today or what?
Did you hear him?
These
No,
are
I didn't.
as the life to dream of, yeah.
Yep. Okay, good. So other than Trish and myself, there's 4 other people on here. More people will be plugging in a little later.
All right.
Great. Good morning. Hey, Melanie. Hey, Chanel. Hey, Dawn.
Hi.
Right.
I'll let you do whatever you need to do to get going and then whatever. I mean, there's.
Yeah, I mean, they're plugged
You
in.
ready?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, super. Let's get started then. For those who I can't see or I haven't met, my name is Bob Meisner. I've been a real estate broker for 38 years. So I'm kind of like the old guy here in the room. And as I get older, and as I talked to Adam before, a lot of my passion becomes, and you'll hear it a little bit from my story, is to really help people. I've been blessed in my career. It's not because it was like handed to me, but I've been fortunate enough to have people that have come into my life that have helped me along the way from the place that I started, and you're going to hear about that in a little bit, and have really enhanced my life, has given me the opportunity to make, in my opinion, a very blessed life for myself. So for me to not share that with people, I think would be a huge mistake and very selfish on my part. So the reason I want to do this today, and it may run into something that's a little bit longer today, maybe a subsequent day perhaps, is really just to kind of share with you the things that have been shown with me, so that hopefully you can gain some value out of it and hopefully enhance your life as well too. So can everybody hear me on the Zoom thing?
Thumbs up if you can hear us.
Yeah.
Great. All right.
All right, good. Just a little bit of background on myself. Like I said, I've been a real estate broker for 38 years. Growing up, we didn't have a lot. And not having a lot meant for us we never went hungry or that kind of a thing, but there was like no extras. My parents recently actually just told me that at the end of the month, if they had any money left over, they would take my sister and I out for ice cream. So Christmas was, you got the essentials that you got. We never had a vacation. I didn't know what a vacation was, so I got married and paid for one myself. But so there wasn't a lot. But with all that comes a mindset that surrounds that. And we're in a company that talks about mindset, incredibly huge. So, and we're all coming from different backgrounds. So from wherever you're coming from, whether you like it or not, you're bringing an element of mindset with you. Some of that mindset can serve you. Some of that mindset can work against you. Your perception on that mindset is really everything, because how you perceive that and whether you become the victim or you use that as fuel in your tank to move you forward, it plays a huge role on where you're at now and how it's going to get you to where you want to be. The other element of this thing is, the reality of it is most people, they think they have an idea of where they want to go in their life. And the reality of it is they usually spend more time planning their vacation than they do planning their life. It's just the fact that, if I were to give you a loaf of bread, for example, and say, hey, this is all you're going to get to eat for the rest of your life, you'd give a lot of thought to that and how you would utilize that bread. But because life for most of us is going to be so long, it's so far out there in the future, we postpone all those decisions and put them off. And then one day we wake up and we don't have time to recover from that. So what we're going to try to talk about today is we're going to condense life into a shorter little module and look at this and say, hey, how do we plan for the life that we really want? And have we even really given enough thought to what kind of a life that we really want in the first place? So that's kind of the premise of what we're going to start here and hopefully accomplish. If not today, maybe even a subsequent time frame. So luckily for you, I believe Keller Williams is the #1 training company in the world. Is that right, Adam, or is it the country?
They're up there for the tops out of
Okay.
all the different industries, top
Okay.
of the train, yeah.
So Gary Keller, one of the things that attracted me to Keller Williams is that John McClintock had invited me to, which in my opinion, there are two absolute must essential classes. One is Quantum Leap, which I believe, Sean, you took, right? Yeah. It's an absolute must. It's a game changer. If you haven't taken it, you absolutely have to take it. It just, kind of reframes your mind, your perspective. I'd love to hear a little bit from you, what your thought was on it. But for me, it was a total game changer. And then the other one was the business planning clinic. So that kind of gets you focused around the whole business, how to grow your business. But far too often, in fact, Gary mentions it in both classes as one of the very first things he talks about. He talks about your why, your big why. And we kind of throw that term around a lot. What's your big why? Most people will throw out something that they kind of quickly come up with, or they give it a little bit of thought. And, my why is for like my grandkids, or they'll give you a couple of things on what that is, but they haven't given it a tremendous amount of thought. I like to substitute the word why for, why are you even on the rock here? What's your purpose in your life? So if you had to sum up, why am I here? And at the end of this whole thing that we call life, what do I want to look back and have accomplished? And why do I want to have accomplished that? That's a little bit more deeper thought as to what your why is. So we're going to try to do two real key techniques and exercises here. One to help you determine, hey, what's your life purpose? What are you here for? What's your why? And the other one is, why can you have a room full, you go to the business planning place, you're going to have 400 or 500 people sitting in that room.
Yeah.
Why is it that a fraction of those people are going to go there and come out and be able to accomplish it, hearing the same material that you may hear, and the rest of them don't? So what are those key things that keep those people from not doing it? And the reality is, it's the way that you think, the way how you talk to yourself in your head, your mindset, and it's really your psychology of what makes up you as a person. What have you been given by your parents, your uncles, whoever had influence in your life? And how does that bring you to where you're at today? And what tweaks do you need to make in order to get to that place? Okay. Tell me a little bit about your Quantum Leap experience, if you can.
I know usually it's in person. This year it was online.
Okay.
I did it with Usha.
Okay.
I think you know her.
Yeah, great lady. Yeah.
It was just a lot about mindset and like what is holding you back from achieving what you want in your life.
Right. Did you get value from it?
A lot of value.
Gotcha.
A lot of motivation too.
Mm-hmm. See, when you know why you're here and why you're on the planet and what your purpose is, it gives you the ability to blow past all the little obstacles that are in your way in order to get you to that place. It's like the fuel in your tank. It's like when you know you're on vacation, you can have a gazillion things on your desk to do that any other week it gets pushed, it gets shoved, it gets back burnered. But if you don't get them done and you can't go on vacation, they get done because you're thinking about whatever it is, the beach, the sand, everything else. A big part of that is just your ability to focus. And we have one of our bold laws is what you focus on, expands. I mean, our bold laws are just, amazing, quite frankly. When you look at them from a practicality standpoint in life, and one of the things that we do, we have done in the past is I'll take people and say, okay, look around this room and take a real quick look, tell me everything that you see that is great. Just go ahead and take a look at it. Give you a couple seconds. All right. Now I want you to close your eyes and tell me where everything is that's red. You can't see it. It's such a basic principle, but it's the same thing in life. What you focus on, you're going to see. If you focus on the negative things, you're going to see the negative things. If you focus on something else, you're going to see something else as well. That goes for elements of your life, from financial to what you feed your mind. Are you sitting there watching in front of cable news every day? Are you reading good stuff that's going to help you grow? All aspects of your life, your money, and we're going to talk a lot about things that complement the business planning clinic versus the financial element as well too here today. So let's kind of get started. Before I go, do you have any questions? Anybody from anybody online or anything so far?
Everyone good on the Zoom? Any questions so far? Okay.
All right, good. So what I want you to write down is this, who equals you? Okay? So what this stands for, okay, what I'm going to go through is I want to give you a template, because my struggle when I was a young agent growing up from the background that I had, my struggle was, especially in this industry, we have a huge ego-driven industry. You can look at somebody who you think is killing it. They've got posts, especially today, posts all over social media. They're borrowing people's listings. You don't know whether it's theirs, whether it's not, whether they're profitable, whether they're broke. You can easily create a persona, and we teach you to do that because it's kind of like the fake it till you make it thing. But the downside of that is if they're faking it, and you as an individual walk away with the perception that, hey, you know, this person's killing it, and I'm the loser sitting over here trying to make it work. I'm busting my chops and I'm not getting anywhere. Does that affect your mental health? It absolutely does. It did me. It did me for years. I would constantly, coming from a state of the poor kid, so to speak, looking at that saying, man, these guys are killing it. What am I doing wrong? They're obviously smarter than I am. I always felt stupid when I was younger because I never graduated from college. I got a year and that was it. So I always felt stupid. I always thought everybody was smarter than me. And I'm looking at this saying, these guys are killing it. So I always thought that whatever they were doing was better than the plan that I had. So for literally decades, I would look at this and say, you know, why can't I be them? And then at some point in your future, you'd find out that them wasn't necessarily so great because you find out that they had bankruptcies or they had a $100,000 or $200,000 IRS lien. So the facade that was painted by these people was totally false, and the life that they were living was just a facade. And I believed it because that's what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to believe it and do business with them. But so the frustration for me as an agent was I always asked myself the question, you know, what's behind the curtain? What's behind the veil? What's the reality of this? And because I just want to be happy. I want to have a life that's fulfilling, worthwhile. At the end of the day, I think we're all looking for that same thing. But we are all individuals, and every one of those things is going to be different. So to chase somebody else's dream and to look at them, it's a fool's game, and we've all done it. I did it for years. To look at somebody and say, hey, I want that, as opposed to taking the time to find out what I want for myself, what makes me happy. She loves baking cakes. It's her happy place. I love fishing, playing with chickens, and working in the garden. You could take the money that I have away, and that's still going to make me happy. I've learned that no matter how much money I get, it's not going to make me happy. It's so finding out what makes you happy, why you're here, what makes you tick, and then forgetting you can learn things from people, but forgetting about all the other stuff that's around you and blocking that out. If that's their dream, God bless them, let them go for it. But focus on your dream, because to do anything else is just a fool's game. And it's just, you're going to sit there and stuck in misery. The other element of that is if you're not working on your plan for your life, you become, just by default, part of somebody else's plan. So that's a big, big deal. So the WHO stands for, up here, first one, the W is, what do you want? What's your life about? What do you want out of your life? And we're going to work on an exercise that's going to help you, hopefully, take you from where you're at now. And this could change at different places throughout your life, but where you're at right now, to get a real quick snapshot of when you're done this exercise, this is my game plan for the next year to get me where I want for my life. So I want you to walk out of here with a game plan, okay? So the WHO is, what's my life about? Again, for me, that's purpose, okay? What's your purpose? Why are you on this ride? Number 2 is going to be, how am I going to get it? That's huge, because one of the things I absolutely love about Gary Keller, he's a very visual person. So he has lots of graphs and diagrams. That works for me. Everybody learns differently. But the fact that he's very visual, it allows me to take all that information and plug it into a quadrant somewhere. So there's a place for it to fit. So, it's like if I give you a bunch of golden nuggets, and I give you more than you can carry, you have the pockets for it, you're just walking around losing golden nuggets. I want you to take something and be able to place it somewhere so that it has some value for you, or you can see how it relates to other things as well too, okay? And the last one, which is really important, what obstacles are going to keep you from that? So you got all these things, but again, you go back to that room where you got 300, 500 people hearing the same thing, and only 5% of them get it and go on, where other people fail. What are the things that are specifically directed at you that are going to keep you from getting that? Okay? Any questions so far? Racer. All right. So what will your life feel about? Okay? We're actually going to start with the how. Okay? Because I want to give you the placement of things so you can have them. When we do the exercise, you know where to place them. And the exercise teaches is going to kind of give you what your life's going to be about. But I want to give you the placement of this, okay? So I want you to draw some circles on a piece of paper. Okay? Some of you have seen this. I think John might have just with you.
Yes, sir.
You did it? All right, you got it?
I got handouts here. Should we do these or?
You go give them out, yeah. All right. Okay? So in these circles, I divided this into 5 specific areas of your life. We talk primarily here at Keller Williams business. Okay, so on the bottom right, I want you to write business, okay? On the bottom left, I want you to write financial. Up here, I want you to write physical. Over here, I want you to write personal. Up top, I want you to write spiritual. Gary Keller, if you caught him at the last family reunion, one of the statements that he made was most of his life he spent living as I think he said it as a human being with a spiritual element. And then he later recanted that and said, hey, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. So he had a total switch on that. And I'm not sure a lot of people caught that, but the reality of that is there's an element of faith in that. And faith comes in several aspects. It's not just your faith as from a religious perspective. It's your faith in the element of, do I believe I can accomplish something? Some of you, I think, Sean, you've read the book, Think and Grow Rich. There's 3 key elements in that book, okay, on how people achieve success. For those of you who haven't read the book, it's by Napoleon Hill. And Charles Schwab, did a 20-year study on Andrew Carnegie and what creates success. So in that book, there are 3 elements. One, what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. So you've got the element of, hey, what's my idea? What's my purpose? What do I want to do with my life? Do I actually believe that I can do it? And do I have the faith element that's going to carry me through to that? Okay. So very, very powerful. If you want to do something but don't believe you can achieve it, you're almost dead in the water right from the gate. So these are very important elements. So we're going to do some exercises that help you fill in these quadrants on the kind of life that you want. Now down here, we spend a ton of time at Keller Williams talking about the business. Now, when you go to either the Quantum Leap class or you go to the business planning clinic, one of the very first things, if you've been there and you've seen the columns, the first one is your why, the other one is I'm talking about your business plan, that kind of stuff. And Gary says in both of those classes, before you figure out what your life's about, don't even go any further. The danger in that is, if you look at somebody else, you're like, well, I like the lifestyle that they have. Most of us spend our time living a lifestyle instead of living our life. I like that lifestyle, so that must be what I want. But you don't figure out what your life is about, you start running forward and building a life that's somebody else's life, and you wake up one day to find out you're in the wrong spot. One of the sayings I heard recently is, many people spend most of their life climbing the ladder of success, only to find out that when they reach the top, their ladder is leaning on the wrong wall. I mean, that's huge, because so many, and I was one of those people. I'm looking at somebody else's lifestyle, I'm like, wow, I really like that. And then when I got those things, or I got that amount of money, well, I'm not any happier than I was. I just busted my hump for 5 years trying to get this, and I'm still a miserable person. So why is that? So I kind of had my life, I've been a student of why do I feel this way? Why can't I find happiness? Until I find it, there's keys of success that lead trails along the way. So that's kind of what I want to get into today. So the business, we talk a lot about that. And we talk about how people, have the facade and those kind of things. So don't always believe, what you see. See things for as they are, not for what they appear to be, okay? Let's talk about the financial part of that. So many people in our industry, if you were to ask John or Justin or other people here, they'll tell you that they know agents that from the outside, they look like they have it all together. But from the financial standpoint, they spend all their money either trying to grow their business, promote it, and they're actually probably in the hole. I mean, you kind of come across that, I'm sure, Adam, in your travels as well too. So the elements of this, on the financial part of it is, I think, one of the most important numbers we need to track is your net worth. We talk about it at Keller Williams from the standpoint of how many units or profitability or, we grow dreams here. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that we try to teach our people is, the goal of the business is to fund the perfect life. If you can't fund it if you're broke, okay? So the number one goal that you should be doing from the financial standpoint is tracking your net worth. You should do it on a monthly basis. For those of you who haven't taken the real estate investment thing, John Clay just taught it online a little bit ago, and people chimed in. And I've done this for years, is you track your net worth, okay? It's not because you necessarily want to be incredibly wealthy so you can get incredibly wealthy that way, but you focus on expanse. Just like it's like the gray versus the red. If you're looking for the gray, you're going to see the red. You look for the red, you're going to see the red. So if you're watching your net worth, you're going to see the things that make it go up and the things that make it go down. If you're not watching it, it becomes oblivious to you, and you wake up someday and you're like, holy crap, I missed that. And as we get older, we don't have time to recover from those type of things. So watching your net worth is going to be key, okay? The personal element, we don't often take time in our life to do things for ourselves. And in this quadrant, talking about, vacations or, growing ourselves personally, time with our families, things that make us a person, makes life kind of worthwhile living. And the exercise that we're going to do is we're going to kind of fill in some things here that make sure that we have a balanced thing in here, okay? The physical, if you don't take care of yourself, obviously you're going to die, So the physical element in our life is important as well too. But the spiritual part is the top part of it. Now, for whatever reason, this is something that kind of came to me one day. I was sitting in some class somewhere, but when I do this, it connects with people for some reason, okay? So this in and of itself makes up you as an individual. Now, the thing is, most people focus, especially when you're in business, they just focus on this right here. And they just grind business to death. They grind it. They're going to work overtime. They're going to do whatever it takes. They're going to step up, suit up, show up. They're going to do whatever it takes to grow their business, because in their mind, if I nail this, everything else is going to be fine. And the reality of it is not the case. They're all interconnected. You can kill it in business, but can you kill it in business, Adam, and still be broke? Yeah. Can you make, in fact, I talked to a lot of people who use the same accountant. There are people that even within our company, they'll make $300,000 or $400,000 a year, and they've got zero profit. So you can kill it in business, but that doesn't help you over here in the financial. So part of that is you need to learn good financial and good money management skills. Okay. So my point on this is you don't want to be so heavily weighted on one of these things at the risk of cutting off some of these limbs. Okay. Can you kill it in business and still limp? If you lose a leg, yeah, you can limp along on one leg. You could lose an arm. Your personal life could go into crapper. You could have no time for yourself, no time for your kids, your spouse. Okay. The biggest line item in this business is divorce. If you get divorced, you just lost 50, 40, 60%, whatever the case may be. So you lose a ton of money just by not taking care of your personal life and your children. The physical part, this was a big one for me because I love sweets. So having Wendy here, being the baker from heaven, I could sit, at her desk and eat stuff all day. But, if you don't take care of your body, it can come back to haunt you at some point. But at the end of the day, and this is why your mind is so important, you could live with almost any one of these limbs, but if you cut off your head and the way that you think and the things that drive you, you're pretty much dead, in the water with that. You get that? Any questions so far? Anybody online? Okay. One of the things that when I asked this question with Adam when we talked about this class, anybody ever take the 6 personal perspectives? Okay. I know you did.
Not taking that one yet.
You haven't read that yet?
Read a lot
Okay.
about them, but never
Okay.
taken the full class.
6 personal perspectives. The first one, is, you know what the first one is?
Yes, that's self-mastery.
Self-mastery.
It's self-mastery, yeah.
So the first one of the 6 personal perspectives is self-mastery. What do you, without you, because we had this conversation, what do you think self-mastery is? Anybody? Online, anybody?
Being your best self.
Being your best, what would that entail?
I guess achieving everything that you want.
Okay. Wendy,
Say it again?
what, in your opinion, what would self-mastery be?
Being happy.
Being happy, okay. When I asked, can I share what our conversation was?
Sure.
So when we talked with Adam, I said, what was your opinion of what self-mastery was? And his comment was, mastering the skills, techniques, those kind of things that make us, a better agent, mastering that part.
Mhm.
The reality of it is business is the success of a business is 80% psychological, 20% mechanics. But self-mastery is just what it says, mastering yourself. Why do I do the things that I do? What factors influence me that cause me to go this way when I know I should be doing this? It goes back to that room of 500 people. Why do 5% get it and 95% of people don't get it? So it's those elements, and it boils down to our psychology and our emotional elements with that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. We're going to talk a lot about that as well too. Okay. So, but you can't cut off the head and expect to live very long. Okay. So one of the things that has helped me on this, and it's going to sound a little bit morbid, but it was something that was taught to me, is every year around August, September, I go away and I go to a cemetery, and I sit in the cemetery and I put myself in a place and I just do a visualization. And we all can do visualizations. You just did it with the gray and the red thing. You can see things in your mind. So I do a visualization where I'm sitting there and I'm imagining myself on my deathbed. And this works for whether you're a younger person or you're an older person, okay? I'm on my deathbed and I'm surrounded by my family, and I'm feeling, what am I feeling right now? What do I wish I would have done? What didn't I do? If I were to die right now, what did I accomplish that I'm glad I accomplished? What didn't I accomplish that I wish I would have accomplished? What situations and what person do I wish I would have gone to and apologized to? Or I wish I would have went to the gym more, or I wish I would have saved more money so my life would have been, better for some things. But I look at all the things, but I divide them into these quadrants. So I go into every one of these and I say, if I were to die right now, what elements in these do I wish I would have done that I haven't done yet? And I'll usually spend a day or so at this place, and I want to feel all the pain in that. I want to feel the regret. I want to feel the remorse. I want to feel the joy if I've accomplished those things. I want to put myself as much as I can in that place so that I can feel that. So, and then I put those things that I, mostly the regrets, to be honest with you, I put those into place where they become. And then now I've got the elements of the beginning part of what's my business plan for next year. It's not just my business. I mean, it's easy. You can go to a business planning clinic. You can sit with Adam, you can sit with Justin, you can sit with John, and we can help you do your business element. This stuff gets missed a ton. So take those elements and put them in. Do I want to take a vacation this year? Do I want to make sure I spend more time with my grandkids baseball games, my kids' baseball games? Do I want to make sure I get to the gym because I'm going to feel better about myself? How many books do I need to read to make sure that I'm learning and I'm growing? I'm changing, improving my mental health? I mean, for me, I just love to learn to grow. And the thing that I think in the past couple of years that's really helped me is so much of what we do is tied to an emotional piece. If you can turn on that emotional switch, because well, I think one of our bold laws is logic makes you think, emotions make you act. So you can understand all this stuff, but until you get to that emotional core of why this is going to be important to you, it's never going to really click. And that's the thing that's going to be the gas in your tank that's going to fuel you through this whole thing. Okay. Questions up to this point? Anybody? No. Okay.
Bob, I have a question.
Yes.
In the cemetery, are you sitting in a certain spot, or are you, because I thought about this, but funerals I thought about going to.
Yeah. Funerals,
But this is
funerals
different.
are very emotional, you know?
Okay.
And honestly, people ask me this, I think there's a lot of value in funerals. You know, we as a society like to do memorial services and we try to avoid the pain of funerals because they're very painful. And they're very painful because they make us face our own demise in some way. We're all going to be there. We're all going to be in the box or the oven or however you decide to be thrown away. But at the end of the day, we own nothing. We take nothing with us. Everything that we think we own today is going to be either thrown away or somebody else is going to own it at some point. So, and when you get older like me, you're like, okay, you're thinking about it more and you're realizing it more. Especially like recently I did an update from my financial advisor and he made me go onto the Social Security account and they do a life expectancy thing. Well, I've got like 25 years left. So most of my homes I'm living in 25 years. So I'm in my last home to buy and die. But so as you get older, you're like, wow, I don't have that much time left. But so when I'm sitting like in the cemetery, I'm looking at the names of the tombstones. I love the older ones because I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. You know, what difference does this guy make in somebody's life? I mean, he could have, I don't know. Some of us make bigger splashes when we jump into the pond, other ones don't. So I'm looking there and I ask myself, from the purpose of my life, what can I do to have a better influence over people's lives so that the things that have been shared with me and have enhanced my life, I can share those with other people. I'm not the rock star agent. I never wanted to be the rock star agent. I wanted to have a happy life. I wanted to help people along the way. But as fate would have it, you know, I've been blessed with things that have given me, you know, things, advantages in life, stuff, as they say. So, but I want to be as much as in that moment that, hey, you know, what's my life going to be about? What are they going to say about me, you know, when I'm in that box at that place? Is everybody going to walk out and say nothing? Or are people going to say, this guy changed my life. He gave me a tidbit here or a tidbit there. He was one of my five, perhaps, you know. We talk about what's your five? What person do you have in your life that you can emulate in one of these areas? And they're all going to be different. Nobody's all these things to you, but you're going to have somebody that can be your business mentor. You're going to have somebody that be your financial mentor. So we call that one of your five, okay? So who are those people? Can I be that one person for people in their life? And hey, you know, I like this about that guy. I want to be more like him in this area of my life. But to answer your question, I want to be in that spot where, you know, I'm on my deathbed. So I just sit there and I'm like, you know, I'm here. You know, I'm surrounded with my kids. I'm there with my wife. You know, my grandkids are there. Do they love me? You know, did I spend enough time? Do I wish I would have spent more time? Could I have done more? Did I just hoard money for the sake of having money? Did I spend the quality time with them? And when you go through these exercises like this, and you really put yourself in that spot, all of a sudden, some of the things that you think is important in life, you know, oh, I was the #1 agent in 1981. Who cares? You know, you suddenly don't care, you know, and so it gives you the end game, okay? And in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, there's nothing more important than what that end game is. In business, they say When you start a business, you begin with the end in mind. What they mean by that is if you can visualize what that business looks like at the end of your career or whenever you're ready to sell it or whatever, that's the picture of it. That's what you create. It should be no different than your life. I mean, somebody asked Roy Disney after Walt was dead and he didn't get to see, Walt Disney World in Florida built. Somebody bumped him and said, "Isn't it a shame that Walt didn't get to see this before he died?" And Roy's response was, "The only reason you're here is because Walt saw it in the first place. He envisioned it, he created it, he put things in place to make it happen. It should be no different than your life. The same principles apply." So we need to spend time saying, what am I here for? What's my life about? Okay. So this may be a little awkward for you the first time, but I kind of want you to kind of think about these quadrants in your life. You probably have an idea, things that are lacking already, but I'd like you to take at least 5 minutes and close your eyes, put yourself in that place of being in a cemetery. This is the first time I've actually done this with other people as opposed to one-on-one. So put yourself in that place. I want you to think about your own demise, your own death. You're there, you're still alive. You've got maybe an hour yet to live. You're surrounded by the people that you care about. And I want you to think, if it were today, what do you wish you would have done differently? What do you wish you would have accomplished? And I want you to just start writing. I mean, for me, I usually have pages of things that I want to get done. And that becomes my business plan. But I want you to take 5 minutes and just sit down and close your eyes, think about that. Have your paper out, and then start writing. Put things under the categories. What do you wish and what do you want for your life if you had to do it all over again? So I'll start the timer so you guys can go ahead. I'm going to get a drink. Water. Do one more minute. Then you're good. Okay. How did life look on your deathbed? Did you feel anything? Did things look differently? I'd like to hear some feedback on that. What was important? Same thing, different?
So I thought about the regrets and what I was proud of. That's what was going on in my head. And I had a feeling going into the exercise that there was going to be some regrets and knowing, okay, I got a lot more to do with my time on this planet. And when I put my regrets down and then I found out what I was proud about, it made me, surprisingly, it made me feel a lot better, because I think it's just the time that I'm going through right now with what I have in my life, with my family, and like fatherhood and
Sure.
being a husband during the fatherhood. It's like, I just can't wait for that part to be over, because I'm proud that I'm pushing myself and doing the things that I'm doing during that time.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of the uncomfortable moments that I'm putting myself through. And the regrets that I have is that I'm not doing enough eventful planning with my family. That I'm not participating in that as much as I should. And the regret is weeks go by and I'm focusing too much on the thrilling part about what I do with my job. The spiritual side, the spiritual reflection is something that I need to, it was probably the biggest regret out of all of it. The spiritual reflection, because the way you illustrated everything there with the 5 quadrants and made it in a human way, knowing that was the backbone of what makes everything else tick on why you do it, that made me think that I need to take more time to stop and think about that aspect of my life and making sure that's in check and making sure I have that down. So
Right.
It's hard to put that all in words.
It is. It's especially if you're doing the exercise for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure everybody's going to have a different experience, but if when you're sitting there looking at your own death and there's things that you said, your things you're going to have to say, I'm glad I did that. I think I crushed this. Other things that I didn't do, I wish I would have done. The whole purpose of the exercise is not to make you feel bad. It's hey, before it's too late, let me correct some of these things. Let me adjust some time. I mean, this all goes back to things that you learn in the business planning, like time blocking is where this goes to, and making sure that you're making the time for the things that are going to be most important to you when all is said and done, and there's no time left to recover from it. You've done everything. We talk about your why changing often. It's not that you're just some flake that everything changes. You're at a stage of life that's different than mine, than Wendy's, and yours, and whoever's on the line there. We're all at different stages of life. Those stages require different demands of our time, different focuses on like you've got children now. So if you're not thinking about, the financial and college and everything else, you just totally ignored that because, hey, I'm growing a company and this is fun, I'm recruiting, which may or not be fun or anything else. And you wait till, okay, if you're a senior in high school, you're gonna be in trouble, So the whole purpose of this whole exercise is to say, hey, let me begin with the end in mind, just like any good, prudent business person would. Let me start with, at the end, what do I want this story to be? What's my story, so to speak? That's where the who equals you. What are you going to be about? And work it backwards. It's so much easier to try to push it forward. One of the exercises I think that they do in Bold is with the piece of yarn. How do you try to push the piece of yarn from the back through a loop or something? You can't do it, but you pull it from the back, and it's easy to do it. It's easy to work the program backwards because you know where you're going. But that's good stuff. Thanks for sharing it. How about you, man?
Well, I'm definitely at a different stage of life. And everyone's just.
Sure. But just as equally important, my friend.
Yeah, I don't have kids or anything.
Yeah.
But it just makes me realize the direction that I kind of want to take my life.
Yeah.
And the things that I do want in my life. Like I want kids.
Mhm.
I want a wife. I want having family. I'm going to build a very successful real estate business. I'm going to build a business that I can pass on to my family, and I'm going to leave things behind for my family.
Yeah. That the value that you have as a young guy in a company like this, with all the resources available to you, I can't over speak it. There's a book called The Compound Effect. I'm sure you've read it. Okay. There's so many habits that this company can teach you, and they teach you the importance of habits. And done at a young age, such as yourself, it makes such a huge difference. It's no different than compound interest. Compounding is it applies to every element of those quadrants. The time that you invest with your kids when they're younger versus not investing it, how does that pay a dividend later on? Are they out in the street, driving motorcycles down the street of Philadelphia, shooting at people? Or are they involved in sports and they want you to be at every game? And all those things pay a huge, huge dividend. And though we may know it intellectually, we don't apply it, to our lives. But like anything else, whatever you track becomes more important than you focus on, which is just the importance of watching your financial statement. A great exercise or a thing that I saw was, if you're a golfer, you play golf, right? A little bit?
Somewhat, if you want to call it golf.
So two guys were playing golf, okay? And I guess they play for, so much a hole. I forget what they call that, okay? But this was shown to me. So you get 18 rounds of golf, right? Okay, and we're gonna pay for 10 cents a hole. If I say, Sean, I want to play golf, and the closest ball wins 10 cents a hole, and we're just gonna double that at every hole, okay? Would that sound like an easy thing? Probably you can afford that, and not a big deal, okay? So you're gonna be my math calculator. So first hole is 10 cents, okay? Okay. Second hole is what?
40 cents.
Okay, we doubled it. Third hole?
40 cents.
Well, we're doubling the 20, so we got 40.
80.
80.
160. 320.
320.
320.
Okay.
740. Oh, wait, no, 640. Sorry.
640. Okay.
1280.
Okay.
25.
60.
60.
25,
Well,
60.
he's got the calculator
Yeah.
out.
So that, you get
25, 60,
25,
yeah,
60.
yeah.
Okay.
5120,
Okay.
10,240,
What's that?
10,240,
100.
Okay.
204.80.
Okay,
4960.
40960.
81920.
What's that?
81920. 1,638.40.
1,600,
38.
20 cents,
40 cents.
40 cents, okay?
3,276.80. 6,553.60. 13,107.20.
Who wants to play golf? Is that not just an eye opener?
Yeah.
That's an eye opener. Just simple at 10 cents. 10 cents. So what I see when I see something like this, I immediately go back to my little squares or my little circles rather, and say, you know, how do I apply that principle of every little habit that I take here over time compounds to get me this kind of a result? Financially, it's easy to read. You know, it's harder to see in personal relationships. It's harder to see in a spiritual relationship or a faith thing or physical. I mean, you know, I recently had to go to the Dwayne knows this. I kind of share some stuff. I had to go to the doctor. You know, because I had some cardiac things kind of going on. So, and talking about regrets, I'm sitting there going, man, I wish I would have went to the gym more. You know, but so started to exercise a little more routine, and I see some of the effects of that. That's positive. I kind of say, I wish I would have did that a little bit sooner. But you do the compounding principle in every aspect of your life, and dang, that's a huge return. You know, I mean, you add them all up, and you've lost that every hole. That's a ton of money. That's a ton of money. So. Any questions from the home front and the Zoom things?
Any questions, guys? On Zoom? Okay, good.
What was some of their experiences on the exercise, out of curiosity?
Anyone on the Zoom have anything that they like to share from that
Anybody still
exercise?
there?
All right.
No, okay. All right. So, so the purpose of that exercise was to give you things that you would want to do that fits in those quadrants, and then time block them into your schedule. My typical, for me, that creates my business plan for the year. So a typical thing for me, say on my life, would be let's just take personal, okay?
So would it be easier to kind of like spend time on each circle?
Yes.
And instead of, to me, like I wasn't able to do this right now. I'll plan on doing it later,
Mhm.
but me to go like and try to put all 5 circles together in one sitting of the
Yeah, no.
cemetery
I hear
would
you.
be.
Well, what I want to experience the first time is at this moment, because this is constantly being in motion for you, okay? So as you improve in one area, you can only spend so much time in one thing that takes away from something else. You know, Gary Keller says you're never in balance because it's always shifting. You're either going this way, this way, this way, this way. So you're never perfectly in balance. You're just adjusting your time to what's needed most at that time, at that point. So when I'm sitting there doing this exercise, I'm just getting the overall big picture. Hey, where am I strong at? Where am I weak at? What needs work? What needs my attention? Where am I at right now if this were to happen right now? Next year is going to be a totally different game. 6 months from now might be a totally different game. But where am I at right now? Okay. From that point, I plug those things into those 5 areas, and then I go into each of those 5 areas, and I work up this year. What do I want to accomplish in that personal relationship this year? Okay. So for example, I'll do mine. Like for mine, you know, I have 5 grandchildren. I need to spend time with all of them. I need to go to their baseball games. I need to get time for their baseball games. Some of them don't live close. I need to go out and visit them. I need to block out time for all that kind of stuff. I need to make sure that when they come to G and Poppy's house, you know, the pool is ready, there's frogs in the pond, which there are plenty. All that kind of stuff is done. So I literally have a line item for every family member in my immediate family. what do I want to do and accomplish with them this year? Because they're all important to me. For the personal, I have, what do I need for me time? You know, if you can't be, you know, the grind and not take care of yourself from a mental, from an emotional thing. Most people know that I do fishing Fridays, okay? I do fishing Fridays because it's my time for me to unwind. I enjoy it. It grounds me. I mean, stuff that I enjoy, most people aren't gonna like. I love chopping firewood. I love fishing. I love growing vegetables and onions and moving around with my chicken. So I'm not the normal kind of guy, okay? But without those things, my mental health suffers and I get irritable. I get cranky because I'm not living the life that I want to live, okay? So all those things that make up me as a personal thing, what I want to accomplish for myself personally, so that I feel whole and complete, I need to get in this things that I want to do with my wife, my relationship with my, that's a big one, right? For my wife, like she likes to travel. She and I are two different people. I could be totally happy just going and fishing, you know, and I'm fulfilled. She likes to travel. Well, guess what? I mean, last year we were supposed to go to Italy. We couldn't go. That got canceled. So this fall, we're doing Switzerland, Germany, and Austria, okay? Do I really want to go over here to have a good time? Not really. Hope she's not on this. But that's what she likes, so I got to make sure that she has a good life as well, too. Spending more time with her, just the things that are going to be important in life to have good quality relationships. My kids, they're all on that thing. You know, as you get older, you know, you're going to have rough roads with your kids. You're going to butt heads. And there's going to be, you know, every kid comes back and they have, you know, you did this to me and you gotta apologize. I mean, we all have it with our own parents. I have it with mine. And you're going to have it probably with your kids as well. So you're like, okay, how do I smooth those things out before I take, you know, my last breath? My father was a huge dictator. I mean, it was his way or the highway, you know. And he was never wrong, and it got him in trouble just in life in general with his relationships, you know. And you know, that was a big driving factor. Like as a kid growing up, you know, you didn't have an opinion; you were allowed to have an opinion. So you walk out of that mindset, you're free for the first time. Okay, now like nobody's going to tell me what to do. You know, that channel in the right way can give you independence and freedom and become an entrepreneur. Channel in the wrong way, you could be the same thing as the thing that you hated growing up as a kid, you know? So all those things that you may think, you know, are negative can be a positive. You know, growing up, not having a lot made me very, very frugal, you know, enabled me to be able to save and think differently than spend everything that I make and be able to have a lifestyle now that I could have only dreamed of, you know? I never, ever would have thought I'd landed where I've landed, but it's because people have come alongside me and taught me things. So, and again, that's why I want to kind of share this stuff with you. But you're right, when I break all those things down into separate things, and then they become like my business plan. Because we didn't have a lot growing up, financial was something that, and fear, quite frankly, drove a lot of my decision processes. I met my wife when she was 12. When we got married, she was still in nursing school. She was 19. At the end of any month, we only had $5. I mean, we were broke. So finance and that fear drove a lot of my decisions. And at first, it kind of was like a curse. And then as later on in life, it actually became a blessing because it taught me the value of money. It taught me, I mean, it would have been totally different if I would have had grown up and my parents just let me spend money and I would have had a totally different perspective, you know, but not having that, you know, John says I'm cheap and he's probably right to a degree, but it's just because, you know, there was a time where we didn't have anything, you know? So, so those things that you think perhaps are negative in your life, if channeled in the right way, can be very much a huge positive. And I'm actually thankful that I had it. So I think a story that I shared with Adam one time is, you know, right before I got married, you know, I was a guy with no opportunity, no college education. I'm literally working in a factory, a chemical factory, because a guy blew himself up making meth on the third shift. and I got a job. My cousin was in middle management. So I got a job cleaning up the lab for 6 months because he blew the place up. It's dirty, it's smelly, I'm just covered with gunk and muck and everything else. And they saw my work ethic and they said, hey, if you want to stay on, we'll pay you a couple bucks more an hour, which is literally just a little bit over minimum wage. And we'll give you an $18,000 raise and after a year, if everything works out. So for me at that stage of life, I was like your age, and I was young. And I busted my butt for a year. I'm doing like 70, 75-hour work weeks because I'm going to get married a year. I'm planning my wedding. This is my ticket out, believe it or not. And at the end of the year, I go in for my yearly review, and I'm sitting in front of the two owners. The one just bought himself a new Ferrari as the company car, and they're like, "We couldn't be happier with you. Here's $1,000. We're glad you're here." I'm like, thanks, but what happened to the other 17? And they're like, well, the company's investing in itself for growing. We need the money to it. It's going to be good for everybody. It's a typical kind of company line that you get. Long story made short, at the end of it, the one owner looked at me and said, you know what? Sometimes in life, you just have to eat macaroni and cheese. And I am like fuming. I can't punch the guy. I can't flip him off. Not that I would anyway. I have zero options. And at that point in my life, they call it a transformational moment. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I am never going to give somebody this much control over my life. I need to figure something out because I don't want to live in this place because this sucks. I've got no options and I have no opportunity. All I know, and it's the gift. That was the best thing anybody ever said to me. I've got the gift of total discomfort. And when you're in that place, see it for what it is. It's a real gift because there's nothing that's going to drive you more out of that place than I'm not staying here. I don't know how I'm going to do it. You don't need the answers. All you need to know is I'm not staying here. And then your focus changes. And as you saw earlier, when your focus changes, you see things that were already there that you never saw before. So that was a gift. That was a gift for me. So, questions? Anything else?
I always think about my first accounting firm that I worked at and the culture there. I always think if they're in business. I look them up every now and then, not as frequent, but and I just think I can't believe that show's still going on over there.
Yeah.
And yeah, the owners just worked, and the quality of their life, it was it was just different, and the way I was treated and the other, you're right. When you kind of try to look at it as a gift somehow.
Yeah.
It was hard at the time for me to look at it as a gift, but when I look back at it, I'm like, wow, it really shaped my perspective and gratitude. So it's,
it hurts because you would think that they would care as much about you as you probably cared about them and their business and the effort that you put forth to it. But and the reality of business in general is that, and it's even within, I hate to say it, but it's even within our company because what I love about Gary Keller, when you read his books, to me, when I hear him, I see the purity of like his thought. And there's the business element, but I truly believe he wants you to find out what's best for your life. And here's the smorgasbord of options that you have to get there. Pick and choose it, but know what you want for your life first. I think that message gets watered down. The bigger a company gets, and you've got different people in there with different motivations, at different levels, certain people rise and fall based on the profit or the number of people on your team or that. I think that gets watered down. I think it's a very difficult thing as the company gets larger to have an individual rise up that says, I want my whole team or my whole company to grow and enjoy the same elements, and knowing that everybody wants something different. Not everybody wants to be the rock star, but I want them all to grow and have their focus that what's important to them is important to me as a leader. you know? And I think that gets watered down like sometimes. So that's where I said, you know, if you're not working your plane, you're probably working somebody else's plane. Jim Fischetti, in one of the classes, he said, you know, and you've probably seen this, I think it was in career visioning, he said, you know, a true leader, you know, as he builds, you know, here's the leader, and you got people under working with you, not for you. I don't like the for you. I like the with you, because you're all part of the team. You know, as they want to grow, you teach them how to grow and expand their minds, their visions, what they want for themselves. You want them to have happy lives, because if not, they're going to go find it with somebody else. But you need to have a big enough umbrella that they can grow with under your umbrella and not leave you. So many teams that they grow them, and then they just fall apart. And then this person feels slighted because he invested so much time into their production and everything else, but they missed the key things that they really wanted. They just want to be happy, you know, teach them how to be happy, find out that happy place in their life. And it's just a balance of all that kind of stuff. So, but, all right. The other exercise, we're not going to probably have time for this. The next, we'll probably do it again.
Cliffhanger. Yeah.
What's that?
We'll use it as
Well,
cliffhanger.
it's a really important one. It's kind of it's an emotional one. It's called the Dickens process. And it's named after Charles Dickens. It's where, you know, Ebenezer Scrooge in a night is transformed, but he's taking a close look at his past, present, and his future. And it requires some time, and I'd rather do that on a time where we have more time to devote to that. So, but questions, thoughts? I know it's been a while since this, and I kind of probably hop around a little bit with my ADD, but love some input from you guys.
This is great. I think it gives such a clear vision on like where I need to shift my life to go.
You want to share some of it?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of think I kind of had one of those like low points 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of getting to the point where it's hard funding the business and like keeping going with the business. So I was looking for something to, I guess, fund the business,
Mm-hmm.
have a 9 to 5,
Mhm.
so I can fuel the business and grow that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can actually grow it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a job with a construction company
Mhm.
doing fix and flips, and that was like the worst experience of my entire life.
Right.
And I'm just thinking like I need to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And the front desk position here is opened up. I talked with Carissa last week, and I'm going to be doing that like 1 to 5 this week.
Mm-hmm.
I guess just to see if I like it.
Yeah.
But I think I'm at one of those points where being in this office more is definitely going to drive me the way I want to go.
Right. We're gonna excuse us. We're gonna do a little one-on-one here, okay? I'm not sure if I've ever met a guy your age that was so well-read. You read the things that people that have been in this industry 10, 15, maybe even 20 years haven't read, okay? The thing that I think you're probably getting caught up in now is a market thing. It's not a you thing, it's a market thing. We're coming out of a pandemic. It happens only like every 100 years. You're what, 19? 20, okay, happy birthday. You're 20, okay? So you're golden until this thing comes around. Again, that it's been a tough market for you know, all of us in various aspects. If you're listening, excuse me. If you're a listing agent, you've loved it because you have to do virtually no work.
Yeah.
I can put a house on the market on Saturday. By Sunday, I've got 20 offers on it. I'm done. I'm paid. I'm just waiting for my money. If you're a young guy like yourself and you're
Just hitting a brick wall. It's like
you're hitting a brick wall.
everyone's walking to us like, nope, we're not moving. We're doing renovations.
Yeah. Well, but you have to see for what it is, not what it appears to be. Okay. I'm going to say it to you like 1,000,000 times. If you have a need and desire to fulfill this thing in your life, and I kind of know personally why you want to do that. You have the tech skills probably to be able to do that. You need to find the right person that you can pair up with that can help you enhance those tech skills. Everything else is going to fall into place. You're a victim of a situation that was out of everybody's control. Allergy season. So don't give up, because when you go to like the construction thing, that's somebody else's plan. I mean, you might have to do that for a temporary time. There were times where, as a younger agent, I got in. You heard the reason why, and then the first recession came. I have my kids in a private school. I'm living in a house that I paid $45,000 for that when I bought it. You could literally see through the first floor into the second floor. It's all I could afford at the time. And the first recession came. I'm trying to sell houses during the day, and I'm cleaning toilets at night. But in the absence of a vision that I wanted for myself, you know, I could have easily gone somewhere else and did something else. That would never given me the lifestyle that I have now.
So that was definitely an eye-opener for me.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. No. But yeah, I'm thinking I just need to, I want to join the team and just kind of get back on track.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you need to, what's the value in joining the team for you?
To be working more closely with a seasoned agent.
Okay.
And someone who can kind of lead me through the market, I guess.
You are around enough people here to be able to shadow them, to see them. I can't stress strongly enough, if you're not working your plan, you become part of somebody else's plan. You've got the talent to be your own person, okay? You're just young. It's just the market conditions haven't been favorable to you at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to find your niche, and it's probably going to be in the technology thing if you're young, and that's kind of gravitates to you, where people in your age group, you're going to hit. I mean, it's been tough for first-time home buyers right now, you know, because I mean, I'm actually starting to see a shift in the market. I'm not sure if anybody else is seeing it, but the past couple of weeks, showings of my new listings, I'm used to getting 60, 70 people through, and I'm getting a handful of people coming through now. And so I'm seeing a shift in the market. I'm not sure whether it's because people are cut loose for the first time. They're free, school's out. I'm not sure, or if the market shift. It's too early to tell. It's only been a couple of weeks, but I'm definitely seeing it. What do you see?
I was just talking with Robbie outside in the hallway too, and he said that he has a very nice listing, 5 offers, and it was in an area that I thought that he would get explosive amount of offers. Terry Foley had mentioned to me the same thing that she's been experiencing this year. Had a listing, not as much showings. Same experience with a buyer that she had. So yeah, I am starting to see that.
Yeah.
And from my own sphere, people that are for my wife's real good friend, she baby on the way, very, very motivated in getting the house before the baby came, frustrated in the months where it was crazy, just called it quits. They're like, we're in a rental, we're getting a rental.
Yeah.
And I think there was so you have buyers just getting frustrated, and yeah, I think that's
my last couple, a minimum down FHA people have got their shot, and they won the day, primarily because I didn't have 10 offers. You know, I put one on this weekend. I've got 2, maybe 3, a third one coming in. I only had 4 showings. It's a great house, you know, but I'm like, wow, where's the 10? You know, I mean, I had one last year where I had 49 offers in 48 hours, you know, so I'm definitely seeing the shift. So your time's coming. So see it for what it is. It's not a you thing. It's a timing thing, and you're going to go through that in this industry, in your cycles. You're going to go. The key to that, you know, for you and anybody else, is because this is the cycle of our industry. You know, it goes up, it goes down, and that's just a typical economic cycle. Everything else. The key for us is to have it go more like this. You know, so we want to smooth out those bumps. The planning of your life and how you use your money determines, the ups and downs of this. I mean, if you're going into this cycle, if you come in here, hey, I'm up 55K, all of a sudden, and now you're off to the Bahamas and you're not working, everything else. And you wake up right here and you realize that, hey, the cycle's going down. And guess what? I'm broke again because I spent it all. This time frame here is going to be a lot worse. And of that 55K, you've got 35K squirreled away here. So now I'm not stressed out as much. I can sit back and make some better decisions. You think you make better decisions, you got 35 grand in the bank versus zero? You betcha. You betcha. And also, as this compounds over time, the golf thing, okay? So here, maybe it's 85 grand over here. Everybody else, it's this spot, and they're panicking, they got to sell. Guess what? You're buying now. You're going out and you're buying an investment piece, okay? The financial element of that down here is I love that with the compound element, because you start buying some houses and your net worth statement as you get older, chart, it's going to look like this, and it's going to go boom. Because as you go through stages of life, and when you're making money, you're paying your bills, you got kids, they're coming, you're paying for colleges, you're bleeding out the wazoo, everything else, then they're done. But if you, when all your buddies, this is how I found, all your buddies are buying new homes, they're in $700,000-$800,000 homes, and you're still living in the same 45,000 square or $45,000 home that you bought for 20 years, because A, your life goal was, I want a good education for my kids, so I'm sending them to private school. B, I want to buy an investment piece, and guess what? That's going to cost me 25% to put down. Okay, so I buy one here, and I've got some cash flow, but it's not a lot of cash flow because my kids are growing up, so I got to still squirrel money away. But guess what? All my friends, I'm selling Jim McCaffrey's house, Louis McCaffrey's, for $1 million, and I'm living in the same $45,000 home that I bought. Do I feel like a schlub? Yep, I do. I did, because I did sell this house. But now I got 2 properties. Then I get 3 properties. Okay, and now what? All my people, they're doing their really nice vacations, everything else. Am I getting it right? Am I getting it wrong? That's the thing I hate about this business. Nobody talks about it, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the reality behind the curtain. Okay, so the person who's saving and making all these things, they don't come out of the closet till they're over here. And these people a lot of them that did this, all of a sudden the market turns, they're getting out of the business. But now is your time to shine, okay? Because you've made some good decisions because you've planned out your life, because you've taken the time to do it earlier on. Now, Dave Ramsey's got a great saying, live like no one else, so someday you can live like no one else. The payday for this, all these decisions, comes later in life, but it's well worth it. It's well worth it, because now these little things, these little investments, those decisions, they fund your life, and you don't have the stress. At 55, 60 years old, you don't have a chance to recover from that stuff. You're pretty much set in stone unless you're planning on working for the next 20 years, So that's the stuff that juices me. I want to scream that from the mountaintop, because it's so easy to get sucked into that, the new homes. And it's nothing wrong with having a new home. Don't get me wrong. It's just that, how's it fit into your big plan? Is it going to serve you, or is it going to take away from that big plan? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when I see a guy like you who has got the talent and the ability that you do, if I can pour into you like these principles, and you get it, and your life is steered in a way where you make good investments, good decisions. You see things as they are. The market's the market. It's not that you haven't stepped up or anything. It's just is what it is, and and your time is coming. Just hang in there. That's the payday. That's the legacy I want to leave. I want to be able to jump into a guy's life like you, and when I'm dead and gone, someday you're like, I remember that guy. I wouldn't be here without him. Paul Allen was one of those people for me. He just gave me a different perspective. Here's a guy that was worth millions, helping a guy who didn't have, 10 grand in the bank, probably didn't have 5 grand in the bank, So, but that's important to me. So you can always call me. You know that. Yeah. Any questions?
I'm excited to see where he's going to be at 25 with all these conversations And they say every 5 years there's something in your life. There's a big type of, not a leap, but there's a big type of development that happens,
Yeah.
like an evolution. And, most 25-year-olds are still very, very, very young. 25 is still very young. So to know that in 5 years you're going to be in another evolution, starting with these conversations, because I would think not a lot of 20-year-olds are having these kind of conversations. I wasn't. Bob probably wasn't.
No,
It's-
and you're gonna find different people. I'm not the be all and I'm never the rock star. I've never been the rock star. I don't want to be the rock star. It wasn't important to me. But the people that have given me this information, I need to pass that along. My son-in-law, Matt, he was just on the regional mastermind thing. I'm not sure if you caught that or not. Matt Moore.
Yeah. The agent mastermind,
Agent
right?
mastermind,
Yeah.
So here, he's the same spot you were. He's in the business a year, okay? So he has he was an NBC weather guy on TV every day, okay? He's only making, I think, well, I should say only, he's there 6 years, 7 years, and he's making, like 50 grand a year, okay? And to him, he's out of college, 50 grand a year was good. But now he's part of my family, okay? So he sees the real estate stuff and he sees lifestyle things. And he's like, well, hey, for the amount of time that I see him working, meaning me, and I'm putting in, could there be something more for me? So the thought, I didn't plant it, it just was in his mind, okay? So the seed is planted in his mind, and once it's planted, it starts to grow, So he goes in and he's busting his chops. He's literally doing all the social media network for the entire Eastern Seaboard of NBC for their stuff. He's doing all their technology, everything else, okay? And he creates it, he owns it, and he manages all of it, okay? What did they give him for it? 0, okay? So they get a new manager in, the middle management thing, that's just not like any other company, okay? So who rises and falls based on the profitability of the station. So doesn't value the people, values the bottom line and what that's going to get to that person, okay? People were disgruntled, that person was very mean and nasty to them, to the employees. They go in for his annual review, I think it was like every 3 years or contract or something like that. So I think they threw him like $1,000, but they want him to be the chief meteorologist when the main guy leaves. And she's like, well, no. Did the whole company corporate wide, okay? So he had a transformational moment. He goes out and says, nope, I'm done. And they were shocked that he said, I'm done, but I'm going to give you like 3 months so you can find somebody, because you just don't find a TV weather guy in 3 months. So he gives them their 3 months. And all of a sudden they start, crapping the brick, because how are we going to replace this guy? But by the way, we want all that social media stuff that you engineered. He's like, no, I own it. It's mine. Okay. So now he's got 1,000,001 viewers on his stuff that he created that they saw 0 value. Okay. So his 3 months comes the end of February last year. Well, guess what happens in March? Pandemic. So he's done, his paycheck's over. He's a full-time agent now. And guess what? The governor shuts us down. You can't work for 2 months. So talk about stress, goes through the whole pandemic, he's not gonna, other people did work. He wasn't in a position to do that kind of a thing. So basically he almost loses, a big part of the year until they opened it up and kind of got his feet wet. Long story made short, right now, this past month, he was just on the agent masterminds with Mike McCann, some of the other big players that are there. He's gonna make over 300 grand this year, and the only thing, he had a need, but the thing is, what I planted in him is this: what's your vision for your life? And I just watered it and watered it and watered it and watered it, and it's just, you got what it takes. It's just you got to make sure that you're thinking in the right thing. And technology was his thing. He just crushed it. In fact, he was just, I didn't know they did this, but apparently somebody monitors social media in our industry. And he was number 7 in the state in a year. And we're doing all this stuff. I suck at it, you know?
Yeah.
But he was number 7 in the state. That's just his niche. So find your niche, you know? But think long-term. Think long-term is because it's going to pay off. But the hardest part of it was the hardest part for me is like, man, when you're down here and you're still in the trenches and you're making those sacrifices because you want this big time, you know, payout at the end, or you want that quality of life at the end, it can be tough, man. It can be tough because you're just, you know, because everybody else is living up there and you're going to question yourself and just stick to the game plan. Get a good game plan. Just stick it, be the horse with blinders on, and just say, you know what? I know that they're out doing this. They're buying this home or the short home or everything, and they're having a grand old time with their life or the new car or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that if you can afford it. But if it fits your long-term game plan, put it in. If it doesn't, keep it out. Keep it out.
Nice.
So, all right, man.
Excellent.
Thank you. There's probably nobody there yet.
Still got three, 4 people on
Okay.
here.
Do they have any questions?
Any questions on the Zoom? Going once, going twice.
No questions.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Chanel. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you, and we'll let you know what the second half of this class when it's going to be coming on, where Bob's going to be running through the Dickens process. So we'll keep you posted on that. All right. Well, thanks for
Thanks,
joining, guys.
Bob.
Have a great night. All right.
Yeah, they'll come for you, man. You're really welcome.